Hello, welcome to PTT Global Chemical Digital Roadshow with the Stock Exchange of Thailand for the first quarter performance of 2019. Before we start the presentation, I would like to preempt that PTT Global Chemical is based on a sustainable development framework. We follow the framework of sustainability development such as DJSI and the Sustainable Development Goal or the SDG. For the DJSI, we are ranked for the 6th consecutive year of this standard. And for this year, in 2019, we are ranked in the bronze class for the DJSI this year. In terms of the financial performance, as you see that since late of last year and continue to this year, we have faced many challenges in terms of global economy outlooks, especially from the trade war, especially from the China and the US trade dispute that impact the global growth and affect to the global demand. So far from what we see, many houses and many institutes revised the global GDP down. Like last week, the IMF revised the global GDP growth this year to be 3.3%, and yesterday the IMF has revised down for the GDP to be like 2.6%, which will affect the overall outlook of the business. And that affect to the oil price as well. As you see that since the last year and this year, they have a lot of impact from the oil production, like OPEC producer to do the supply cut, and Venezuela and Iran has some supply disruption from the sanction, and that's why we see the price of the oil price that closed at the end of last year to be like $52 per barrel. In the first quarter, it close to be like 67 per barrel, and now it's back to be like $61 per barrel, which is quite a fluctuation a lot, and that make our business is quite dynamic. In terms of the overall business unit performance, as you might already see the performance that we announced since last month, when comparing with the same period of the last year, the sales revenue is about 112 billion Thai baht. It decreased 7% from the same period of the previous year. This is in the same trend as the oil price, because when the oil price decrease, the product price also decrease as well. Like a polyethylene price is decreased from like $1,300 in the first quarter 2018, and it decreased to be like $1,070 per ton in the first quarter of this year. However, in terms of the sales volume, we have improved in terms of the sales volume, especially polyethylene volume, because we have additional capacity from the second plant of the LLDPE, which we start to do the commercial run in the March last year. And since the end of the last year, we acquired a new business of PTA and PET from our partner that give us additional 1.1 million ton of the new capacity for full year this year. In terms of the operating rate, we are able to run as a normal rate. For the refinery, we run at 102%. For the aromatics, it's 94%. For the olefin and the polymer, it's about 100%, which is a normal rate that we are able to run. In terms of the EBITDA, this quarter, we have like 11.1 billion Thai baht. It decreased 31% from the same period of last year, which mainly from a soften in terms of the margin. Because when we look at the margin of the main product, like a refinery, the GRM is decreased from 6.15 to be 3.22 in this quarter. The main impact is from soften of the gasoline and the middle distillate spread. For the aromatics, it's slightly improved because in the first quarter this year, the paraxylene, the spread is quite good to be like above $500 per ton because they get the support from the demand of the downstream, especially from the polyester change. But it partially offset by the soften in the benzene spread to be like $70 per ton because they have some slowdown in terms of the demand because the downstream, especially for the styrene monomer, is in the shutdown maintenance season. For the olefin and derivative, the EBITDA margin is decreased from like 32% to be 18%. The main effect is what we already touched, like polyethylene price is decreased from $1,300 per ton in the first quarter last year to be like $1,070 per ton in this year. And for the MEG spread is also decreased for about $100 per ton as well. And that does make the EBITDA soften. In terms of the share of the profit of investment in JV and associate, we report about 1.1 billion Thai baht. It's decreased 41%. The main impact is from soften of the business under PTT Asahi, which is acrylonitrile business. And this quarter has less effect from the FX gain. And that's why it makes the share of profit from investment soften year on year. In terms of the net income, the net profit we report 6.4 billion Thai baht, decreased 48% year on year. But we have increased 59% Q on Q because in the fourth quarter last year, they have a significant stock loss from dropping in the oil price in the last quarter. But in this quarter, we have a stock gain and NRV as well. And that's why it make the net profit decrease year on year, but increase Q on Q. In terms of the performance comparing with the year on year, which we already touched, this picture will give you more detail. In terms of the operating profit from the main BU that decreased 4.8 billion Thai baht, that mainly from the margin that decreased while the volume is partially offset as we have additional sales volume. Sharing from the subsidiary and JV associate is softened from the MEG. Apart from the soften in the MEG spread, in the first quarter, the MEG plant is shut down for the maintenance, which is a scheduled shutdown for the 40 days. That make the volume of MEG less. And the acrylonitrile spread and the phenol spread is softened year on year as well. And that's why it make the performance year on year is decreased 48% to be 6.4 billion Thai baht. By comparing with the Q on Q, the fourth quarter last year and the first quarter this year, the key factor is the stock gain and loss. Like I already touched, in the fourth quarter last year, they have a significant loss of the stock loss of 6.7 billion Thai baht, but this quarter it has a stock gain of 1.1 billion Thai baht. So altogether, that make a significant improve from this item close to 8 billion Thai baht. However, last quarter, they have an extra gain from the gain on bargain purchase price when we go to acquire the PTA and PET business, about 1.3 billion Thai baht, which is a one-time gain in last quarter. And that's why altogether we have improved in terms of the net profit, increased 59%, which are mainly from the stock gain. In terms of the financial position, this picture gives you the idea that how strong we are on our balance sheet. In terms of the cash and cash equivalent ending, we have almost like 53 billion Thai baht on our balance sheet, and the leverage ratio is quite low, like a net debt per equity is about 15%, and the net debt per EBITDA is just only 85%, which give us the picture that we have strengthened in terms of the balance sheet, and we prompt to make an investment for the future growth. And this reflects to the recent announcement that we announced about the treasury stock that we will conduct during the next 6 months from the 11th of June to the 9th of December this year, with the amount not exceed 3 billion Thai baht. Because based on our current position, we have excess liquidity, almost like 16 billion Thai baht, and we see the opportunity to conduct that transaction. That's the overall in terms of the financial result. In terms of the strategic direction, just to focus on the 3 key pillars, the sustain core, which is the business that we have existing business now, and how to strengthen and to do an improvement in terms of the performance. Like for the past 3 years, since 2016, 17, and 18, we have a collaboration with McKinsey to do the project that's called Project Max, which is the concept of the efficiency improvement and cost saving throughout the organization, which we target to realize for the full benefit, like 10.7 billion Thai baht by the end of the program. Last year, we already realized like 6.4 billion Thai baht, and this year we expect to get additional from the Max project, like 4 billion Thai baht. Since the project is complete since last year, we employ the same concept of the Max project that we do with the McKinsey to continue the project by ourselves, called Max Infinity, which we target to improve as a continuous process for the organization. Apart from that, we start to implement a new module of the digitalization that we will bring more tools in terms of IT, AI, and the new technology to support our organization in the main anchor, like in the business, technology, and the people transformation. So far, we start to implement like 10 to 13 module already, and we will keep continue for the next few years from now. That will give benefit and to do the efficiency improvement for us. For the next 2 pillars, the accelerate growth lever is try to see the opportunity to invest for the high growth market in the international hub, or have access more performance chemical that will help us to resilient throughout the cycle. And lastly, about the concept of the sustainable development, which we already touched on the first page, that we try to do a sustainable development, the stakeholder management under the framework of the ESG or the SDG. In terms of the short term, as we see that they have a quite more challenge this year, we will implement the program that will enhance our profit this year in terms of the risk mitigation from the risks that affect our business. Apart from the Max project and the digital that we already touched, we try to closely monitor the situation by set up the war room team to consider the situation and try to tackle all the problem promptly and to solve the issue that will impact to our performance. And in terms of the OPEX and the cost saving, this year we target to do the cost saving like about 10% from the budget that will help us to saving more in terms of the cost and efficiency improvement. Altogether, this year we expect that it will yield a benefit like 5.6 million Thai baht in 2019. In terms of the strategic direction that we already touched, now we strengthen our existing home base, like we do the improve and efficiency improvement in our facility. We acquire the land for the future investment. We invest continually in the R&D development and collaboration with our partner. And lastly, about the operational excellence, like Project Max that I already touched. And we also move to the performance material, like we do a lot of joint venture with the international partner, like a company called GC Polyo that produce the polyo, which is a feedstock for the polyurethane chain. Our partner is Sanyo Chemical and Toyota Tsusho. For the HMC polymer, our partner is Londell Basel for the polypropylene production. And for the PTT Asahi, we joint venture with Asahi Kasei for the acrylonitrile and MMA development. And for the MCC Biochem, which the joint venture for the bioplastic with the Mitsubishi. That's the example, and that we collaboration with international partner who has technology and help us to penetrate to the performance material sector. We also continue to support the government policy, like the S-curve and the new S-curve, which is the new target industry for the growth in the future of the country. We can support those businesses by supply the material for them to extend their business onward. In terms of our own execution, from the left to the right, we try to move our portfolio from the upstream, which is the existing business of our company, to the right-hand side of the more downstream business, which is the 5-year plan. The chart that you see, that is the universe of the product portfolio that we have aspiration to invest and extend our value chain. The green tick box is what we already invest and has a business at the current period. The recent development is in terms of the paraxylene chain in the yellow box. Since the late of last year, we acquired PTA and PET chain that we have a more captive volume for our own paraxylene. And the integration is planned to complete by the end of this month. We also announced the deal to acquire the share in the rotomolding business from our partner in the United Kingdom, the Revolve Group, and we already acquired the share in March. And we also have the 3 major projects in the Rayong province, which is the new naphtha cracker, or what we call the olefin reconfiguration. The progress now is at the end of the first quarter is 39%, but so far it's close to 50% at this time. That will give us additional 750,000 tons of the olefin that will help us to extend our change for the downstream business for the future. For the propylene oxide, it's about 51%, and for the polyol, it's about 54%. All the 3 major projects is on plan and on schedule, which we expected that by the second half of the next year, all the project is able to run as planned. Besides the normal business that we emphasize and try to focus, we also keep our eye on the future trend of the global, like the green trend, that they will use less of the plastic, or to focus more on the recycle or the biodegradable, which is the trend that we already see for the past few years. So what we already do is we try to shift from the normal film grade or the material that we sell to the single-use plastic sector, which account for like 5% of our plastic portfolio, to be the other sector like a more durable goods like wire and cable or the molding instead, and which we expected to shift all the volume within the next few years, and we will get quite a minimum impact from the trend that they will use less and less in terms of the single-use plastic. For the bioplastic development, we see this trend since like 2011, or already 8 years old already. We acquired a new business in United States with a JV with a company called NatureWork that produce the bioplastic from corn. And recently we acquired a share under the company called PTTMCC that produce the PPS, which is another kind of bioplastic as well. So we have both PLA and PBS, which is the main bioplastic of the world, that give us the opportunity to penetrate the new sector who has more intention to use biodegradable or the bioplastic. And lastly, about the create awareness, we collaborate with many organizations to do like recycle plastic waste, and that we can use the recycled plastic to produce the good things. Currently, we are under study for the recycle plan, which we expect that within this year we can reach the conclusion, and they might have a new project on that. And if there is any update, we will inform the market on that. And that's the overall of our business performance and our strategic move for this period. In terms of the questions from the system, the future effects that from the U.S.-China trade war, we have to admit that U.S.-China trade war is the effect that affect throughout the world and to affect to many business units. So we try to see any opportunity in the new market that will give us more margin or the more value and buy access, and to change the trade flow to those countries that will help us to manage and balance our margin in the longer term. In terms of the return on investment target, normally we try to look at the ROIC above the 14%, which is the framework for our investment consideration. And for the GC Estate, which is the company that we acquired the land almost like 1,000 rights with like 7 billion Thai baht. That is the preparation for the future, that what we give, that we try to strengthen our home base. So in the future, if there is any opportunity, especially with the international partner, so we can provide them with the facility and the area that they can develop right away by not prolong any future investment. In terms of the sustainability development, we do quite a lot of projects with both the government organization and private organization. One thing that is quite prominent that we promote is about the upcycling the ocean Thailand, that we collaborate with many organizations to create the awareness of the plastic waste, how to keep it properly, because actually when we look at the plastic, the single-use plastic that have an issue now, is about the how to manage the plastic waste management. By having proper management, since we collect the waste, we do the recycle, and we use those recycled grade to produce the product. Like in the picture, you see that they use a plastic bag that they collect from the sea to be produced like a bag or the handbag for the normal use, which is one of the things that we do. They're quite prominent that we collaborate with many organizations. In terms of our expansion, the projects that will support the growth of the country or the EEC policy or not. Actually, if you look at the EEC policy, there has many promote, like in terms of the medical device, robotic, or the aviation and the logistics. All these projects is need to support in terms of the material for the business that we have, like ORP, the new cracker that have ethylene and propylene. We can have more collaboration for the product of the downstream, like we can use propylene or the ethylene to produce the PE compound or the PP compound, which able to make the material for the aviation or the robotics or the automation system as well. That's the indirect way that we support the policy of the government. And in terms of the sustainability development, as we already touched, the project that is expected to come like in the third quarter, like the recycle plant. When we think about the recycle plant, it doesn't mean that PTTGC will shift our portfolio to do more business in terms of the recycle, but we want to give the awareness and to build like a prototype for the country and like a learning center that the people can come and to look to see that what is the proper recycle system, and then they can follow the prototype plan that we will invest. So that will help us and the country to have more awareness and how to manage the waste recycle properly throughout the country, and which is not only the get rid of the waste, but it's also make a value added in terms of the products value as well. So I think for the question that we got from the system, and that's all. So based on our strategy, so we can give you the confidence that PTTGC, we are looking closely and monitoring in terms of the movement of the market and the situation, especially that effect from the trade war. We have a dedicated team to monitor and to see that what we will implement the measurement to counter the issue and able to maintain our performance for the long-term growth. So I think that's all for the brief in terms of the performance of the first quarter and our current strategic development. So thank you for joining us, and see you in the next result announcement. Thank you.